I'm going to show you 5 easy tips to make your beats more interesting. We've all sat there for hours trying to make our beats more interesting, but nothing just seems to work. There are so many beats out there that are literally just loops. Making them more interesting makes them stand out from the rest and also boost sales. Here's 5 easy, quick ways to just make your beats that little bit more interesting. Tip number 1 is simply bumping your already existing melody up 1 octave. This just informs the listener that the beat is just going somewhere else, and it just gives it more story. Okay, so here's an example of my original melody called Verse Bells. And all I've done after 8 bars here is I've just bumped it up an octave. So if you listen to that with the beat, up an octave, just makes it more interesting. Tip number 2 is adding a B section to the beat. This also gives the beat more story, but it also just makes it more complete and just more well-rounded. B sections are also important because it just keeps things fresh, so listeners just don't get bored. Okay, so here's the example of the B section in my beat Overdone. So if you just listen to the hook just before, what you'll notice is I've got a little chord progression change, and I've also introduced some new sounds. So the B section coming in now. I've also got a sub bass as well. Tip number 3, which I think is a really important one, which is introducing new sounds or new instruments. Introducing new sounds and new instruments obviously breaks the monotony of the beat and also just introduces something more different. So here's my B section. So what I've done is I've switched up the chord progression, switched up the sub bass, and added some new instruments. So on the B section, I introduced some new bells, an organ, some new keys, and also a new sub bass. Tip number 4 is adding sub basses to your verses. So when your 808 is not playing, the beat can sound really bare and it can just get really annoying just listening to loops of melodies. So just to make the beat sound more full in the verses, add your sub basses because it fills the frequency spectrum where the 808 should be. So here's some examples of where I switch the sub bass up throughout the beat. On the intro, here's a sub bass.
Tangy has the secret formula.
Then in the verse, I introduce another sub bass pattern. The 5th and final tip to making your beats more interesting is switching up your patterns. This is so important. On FL Studio, you can press Make Unique. The Make Unique button enables you to change your notes without affecting the original pattern. So I'm going to use the example of the sub bass again to show me switching up the patterns. So here's the MIDI for sub bass 1. And then when we go and have a look at sub bass 3, which is in the verse, which is the same sub bass sound, completely different. So there you go. There's 5 easy tips to make your beats more interesting and stand out. I hope this helped give you some inspiration on making some new beats. If you enjoyed this video and you want more, hit the like button and also subscribe to this channel. Check out my website, tingy.com, link is in the description. I'm selling beats, collabs, placements, and also vocal mixing services. Thanks for watching. Tune into the next Secret Formula episode where I go through vocal mixing.